Hello everyone, in this video I'll be interviewing a legendary person, and this Kairos time. Hello Kairos.
Hey man, thanks for having me on the channel. This is great.
Are you ready for the interview?
I'm ready.
Okay, well, I wish everyone bon appetit, enjoy watching, and here we go. First question. In Misfits, the Territor mechanic social deduction relies on random buffs and items. How do you balance the game so that pure randomness doesn't outrage the player's person, personal skills and logic?
Yeah, so randomness is interesting because in game design, it can actually make things really fun. And a game that is, but you can also have a really fun game that doesn't have randomness. If you take a look at a game like chess that has been incredibly successful for a long period of time, right? So it really is just a balancing act. If and responding to the community feedback. If people feel like something is too random, then we want to adjust it. But if people aren't complaining about randomness, and if we can add more randomness to make the game more fun, then we try to do so. You know, that's yeah, responding to community feedback is the most important part.
Okay, this is interesting. Um, Question number second.
Perfect.
You know for your analytical approach to games where the any mechanics in Misfits that seemed perfect on paper, but in practice during playtest broke the game and had to be unlikely changed.
Yeah, good question. I'm sure that there were. So one thing that I do want to point out is that I am fairly new on the team, and I haven't been there since the very beginning. And there's actually been a lot of play tests that happened before I joined the team. However, things will get broken. They have gotten broken during play tests, and it will just continue to happen. That's part of game design. And what our goal is to try and address it quickly and do so in a way that doesn't hinder the game's performance overall. And, you know, we'll do our best. We might not do it perfectly every time, but this is a game being made with people and players. And so sometimes we got to adapt and adjust.
Okay. Question question number third. The game is called Misfits. Loser outcast. How difficult was it to create an atmosphere where losing or looking stupid misfit was fun, not offensive to the player.
Yeah, so misfits is an interesting word. I wouldn't necessarily say that like a misfit is necessarily like a loser. I would say that it's somebody who doesn't quite fit in with like the normal status. And it's interesting because I think that in our hearts, we're all kind of misfits in some way, right? Like we all have things that make us feel like we don't necessarily fit in 100% of the time. And maybe there are people that is not true for, but that's the goal here. And so it's interesting because creating an atmosphere where people don't look. Our goal here is to create an atmosphere where people feel accepted and cared for who they just are, unapologetically, right? And yeah, so you know, this is a give and take, and maybe some people could find certain elements of things offensive, but that's certainly not our intention. We just want people to feel like they can be themselves.
Okay. Um Next question. Um, Question number four. How often does the anti-hero studios team consult streamers and match statics to uh, determine where a patch is urgently needed?
Yeah, so balance is interesting. And, you know, I don't know the answer to this. I do know that the team does look at match statistics. I do know that they consult top players. They've actually made a ton of balance changes based off of Egisker's feedback, who's one of our definitely top player. How much is it? I don't know, but I know that we're always looking at the data, but we're also looking at player feedback to try and balance the game correctly. And balance is a really tricky thing. Balance is not something that can easily be gained perfectly, and so it's always going to be a give and take. We're always going to have to do buffs. We're always going to have to do nerfs, and responding to player feedback is really important to that.
Okay, it's really interesting. Um, question number 5. Your audience love discover imbalance character uh, pairings have ever been times when viewers discovered a tactic you didn't even know existed and you had to nerf it.
I'm sure that this has happened. I can't think of a specific example because I am new on the team, but I'm confident that players like the thing is that as game designers, we're on such a small level in comparison to the number of people that will eventually play Misfits. Like, you know, we might have like 15 developers working on the game full time, but in our last playtest, we had multiple thousand, like we had over 70,000 people play the playtest. And so there's absolutely people when people are, or there's absolutely times when people are going to find problems, and because we're not gonna be able to find them all. And yeah, we do have to nerf things. Sometimes we do have to buff things. But just because a game mechanic exists in the game that we didn't know existed doesn't necessarily mean that we have to remove it or delete it. One thing that's really fun is finding out new strategies and that the community comes up with and actually celebrating them and making them more fun and exciting in a way that's more accessible to more players. So yeah, just because we're not trying to make a game that we intend for people to play a specific way. We just want to make a game that allows people to play how they want to play.
Okay. Um, Next question, question number 6. You play a lot of other games Brawl Stars. With mechanics from this game have you spied and tried to adapt for Misfits to reduce toxicity or increase dynamism?
Yeah, interesting question. So this isn't about like trying to like copy or steal mechanics from any other type of game or anything like that. Yeah, we have a lot of inspiration from Brawl Stars because we have a lot of developers who used to work at Supercell. But we're not just looking at Supercell games. In fact, that's not even what we want to do. We don't want to copy Supercell. We don't even necessarily want to be a copy. We want to do the opposite and come up with our own different ideas. However, we're also all gamers. The team is full of people who love games and have specific games that they are very passionate about and it's really impossible not to make a game without pulling inspiration from some of our favorite aspects of other games. So, we want to make Misfits the best game that Misfits can be, and that means pulling inspiration but not copying. And that might mean that sometimes we do have mechanics that are very similar in Misfits to another game, but that's not the intention. The intention is to make Misfits the best game that it can be, regardless of where the inspiration comes from.
Oh, really? Um, okay, go next question. Question number 7. How interesting in the development process at small independent studios and hero studios.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super interesting. Anna Hero Studios is trying to do something that most game developers don't. Most game developers have like a game concept. Well, actually, most of what happens in the industry, especially in the mobile gaming industry, is they look for something that's worked elsewhere. They try and copy it, and then they try to um, maximize profits and player retention in a way that isn't really always that fun. There's not a whole lot of ingenuity. There's not a whole lot of um, new ideas that are coming out in the mobile gaming industry. And that's not what we're wanting to do. We want to make games that are actually good, that are actually worth sharing. And our whole design pillar is around making games worth sharing. Social games that are built with the community involved from a very early standpoint. I mean, we're talking about a game right here that's in pre alpha at the moment, and more people know about it in pre alpha than most any other game at this stage. If this was a game that was being developed by most any other studio, nobody would know about it until maybe a beta, which would come after an alpha, which would potentially come after something else. So we're doing something very different, and I personally find it incredibly interesting. It's a different development process, especially involving the community along the whole way and involving creators such as yourself. Whether or not other people find it interesting, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I do know that there are a lot of people that comment on my YouTube channel talking or sharing their excitement for what we're doing and how we're doing it differently. So I think it's cool. It's a lot of fun and it's a lot of work, and there are no easy shortcuts to game design, but we think we're doing something really unique and worthwhile, and that's why, and that is what I think is going to help us make a game worth sharing.
Yes, bro. The game is good, and the studios is really good. Um, 12th question. Oh, I'm sorry. Ninth questions. What part of developing Misfits was the most challenging? Not technicals, but mentally or creatively?
Yeah, so one of our design pillars for Misfits is connection through extraction, right? Where and this is like a kind of a weird concept or a principle, but like what we want to do is we want to make a game that makes people feel like when they extract, they really connect with other people and they build relationships and friendships with other people. Or even if you're not like playing with somebody else, that there is that really intense social element of it that makes the game feel extra rewarding and satisfying because of the other people that are playing. That's a very vague thing, and how we do that, there's not any one decision that has helped us try to accomplish that. It's a bunch of different decisions that are all trying to accomplish that one goal. And that's just something that we have in mind whenever we're making every single decision. Is this going to help or help players connect with others? And is this additive to what our total goal is? And if it is, then that's what we want to do. And if it isn't, a lot of times that means investing our time and efforts elsewhere, even though some ideas could be really fun and exciting.
Okay, this really interesting. It's really good. Um, Question number 8. There are a lot of social deduction games on the right now. Among Us, Project Winter. What do you think in the main future of Misfits that will make hardcore fans of the game switch to your project?
Yeah, interesting question. Because Misfits, I would say, is not like a social deduction game. There are elements of it where you are playing very socially, but just because a game is social doesn't mean that it's necessarily a social deduction. A social deduction game, in my mind, is a game where you have different roles where somebody is a good guy or a bad guy, and the good guys and the bad guys are trying to do something. Usually, the good guys are trying to take out trying to get rid of the bad guys, and the bad guys are trying to kill the good guys. So that's how I view a social deduction game. This is more about engaging players to play socially with other people. Um, and you know, I think that us designing the game from the ground up to be a game we're sharing and to build that connection is going to be what sets us apart from a lot of other games. And yeah, I don't really have like a very concrete answer to this, but I think that people are really going to like what we're making, and time will tell.
Okay, this is a really good question number 10. The game has these short games. Do you plan to introduce more complex ranked modes with long strategies in the future, or the goal always to remain a casual quick party?
Yeah, this is a good question. Anything is on the table. Genuinely, we're not trying to lock things into one specific way. We want to make a game with the community, and so if the community says, "Hey, we really do want like a more complex or like a ranked mode," that's on the table. But we want to first design the game um, to try and satisfy like the core aspect of building connections through extractions or heists. So for now, it's going to remain a little bit of like a quick party system. Eventually, in the way, there will probably be other systems, but we really like the idea of people jumping into a lobby and seeing other people around there and playing and going up to somebody and saying, "Hey, you want to play with me?" And that person jumping in and playing a match with you. Like that's a really cool and interesting mechanic that we want to celebrate, and we want to prioritize that first before we consider doing something that um, takes away from that.
This interesting. Um, Question number 11. If you could and a crossover with any other title, cartoon, game to the game, which would it be and why?
Mm. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, any game developer is going to have different answers, and even every player is going to have different answers to this. I'm just going to pull one out that I have a lot of memories of playing as a kid, and that was Mega Man, the Super Nintendo game series. I don't even think it was actually strictly Super Nintendo, it was made by Capcom. But the Mega Man series would be a really fun one to do a collaboration with because I have a lot of good, fond memories playing Mega Man X and Mega Man X2 and 3 on the Super Nintendo back as a kid, back in the day.
Okay. Uh, okay, this the last question. Question now 12. Um, how do you combat the meta, the set of the strongest characters, so then players don't run after two of the three classes, but try out full roster?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there is always going to be a meta of some sorts. We want people to be able to play the characters that they want, and we want them to feel like the characters that they love are worth playing. But a meta is always going to adapt, and the most strategic players and the players who are the most hardcore are going to find whichever strategy is the most strong at the time. So that's just going to come down to balance changes and stuff like that and switching things up. But our goal really is for players to be able to play the characters that they find the most fun and enjoyable. And that means creating a wide or a lot of different types of characters that a lot of different players will enjoy.
Okay, that's all. I have for now. Thank you very much, Kairos, for the interview. You're really a legend. My subscribes you like, and more subscribes like you. Um it was very interesting, and think the viewers for in interesting. Well, I think well say goodbye. Your words.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And thank you guys all so much for all of your support in Misfits. And we hope to continue making an awesome game that you guys will enjoy for years.
Bye bye everyone, and see
Yeah.
you soon. Bye bye.